Josh Bitar here for From the Stands, alongside my buddy Alex Goldman, and today we're at the Fighter Hotel here in Sydney, and we're joined by none other than a good man, the UFC commentator himself, John Gooden. First of all, man, it's been a good week so far. We touched down yesterday. What day specifically did you touch down?
Got in Monday night. Doesn't feel like it though. Feels like it's all kind of blended into one at the moment. It's been a bit of a mad few weeks on the road for me, but I'm so pleased to be here. I'm not just saying it because you guys are from Australia. Sydney is my favourite city in the world. We had a really nice day of weather a couple of days ago. Went down to Manitub. I say that just because I've had a little bit of everything already, and the coffee's the best in the world too, so loving it.
I was going to ask you, I know I see your posts and your morning coffee posts. Have you enjoyed the coffee so far?
It's one of the reasons why we come to Australia. Do you know what I mean? I know that Melbourne champions like that whole brunch and coffee thing, but Sydney's not far behind, right? So there's a place called Gumption. I've tried that. There's a place called Mecca. I've tried that. And then we've got, even at the hotel here, it's pretty good. I'm a bit of a coffee snob, so I'm enjoying what I'm tasting so far.
Well, look, let's sort of touch a little bit on the fights. We had the media day yesterday, and in typical Sean Strickland fashion, it was a lot of clippable moments, if you will. What have you made of the press that's been around this event? I think Sean has actually done quite a good job, whether it's good press or bad press, actually hyping up this event and actually getting people very interested in this event, along with Izzy. What have you made of the press that's been going on so far?
So, I've got a bit of first-hand interaction with the guys. So when the media day stuff was going on, they would come by me for like their pre-fight interviews for the broadcast. So I've been in the room with a few of the fighters to get a sense of where they're at. Now I've had interactions with Sean. I think I called one of his fights in Germany a long time ago, like at the beginning of his UFC career. So it's been very interesting to see how his career's progressed. And I was at a teammate of mine was on Dana White's Contender Series, so we spent a little time at Extreme, and Eric Nixick, shout out to him. He's just such an incredible human, like really welcome. I saw Sean in the gym there. So anyway, he came through, and when I'm wearing my producer hat, I have a certain role that I need to fulfill with respect to the broadcast and getting things done. And I'm just sitting there thinking, Sean's always going to give us something, right? But I'm like, how's he going to be? Yeah. How is he down here in Australia? Like the pressure, is he going to be mischievous on the mic? And what was very interesting, and it was that when he was in the room, yes, he was having fun. He's the Sean that we all see, but he was kind of giving me like a reassuring nod to go, I can behave. Like I can do the bits that I'm supposed to do to like respectfully. And he really did, you know, he's for all that we see with the antics and stuff, like he still gets it, and he's good to work with. Yeah. I had Izzy come through, and he's just phenomenal in front of a camera. Yeah. I wish the interview that I had with him was like more of a sit down where I could dive deeper, because he's fascinating. Yeah. Like there are very few humans in the world that have achieved the kind of things that he has, and how active he is at the highest levels, and just his mindset on sport. And I got a little flavour of that as well. So it's very interesting to see the dynamic, you know, the opportunity that's been given to Sean. He knows, you know, he knows what he's got here, but Israel been here so many times, and kind of just seeing it as another fight because he wants to be active. It's building up really well. And then of course we see all the other stuff that happens at the open workouts, which you guys were closer to than I. So there's a big fight feel about this, you know, just the return to Sydney. We saw Perth earlier this year, and I feel like we're going to have another blow-up moment.
Yeah, sure. So John, you know, you kind of talked about it there, you know, Eric Nixick is one of the most well-respected coaches in the game, you know, great coach, even better human. He mentioned earlier in the week that he thinks Israel Adesanya is the best middleweight of all time. Now, obviously, the most direct comparison is Anderson Silva. In your opinion, if we were to take out the argument of level of competition, because it's relative to when the fighters are fighting in their generation, who do you think is the best middleweight of all time?
You son of a bitch, yeah. It's really difficult, and I think, cheers dude, I think there's there's a little bias for me here because I was training to throw hands and legs like Anderson Silva. Clearly never got close. I really did idolise that guy, and so I hold him in such high regard. And being around Adesanya right now is like I feel a little closer to the situation. If he's not if Israel's not the greatest, he's not far off of it. You know, another couple of wins maybe, and he's right there. But I don't know, just for me, Anderson still is just such an iconic figure, as is Adesanya. But I don't know. Maybe there's just a little bit more time, because Israel's just so fast that he's been going through people, so dominant. But yeah, I probably need to sit back and analyse the situation a little bit more. But that's the feeling that I'm getting right now.
Do you think that question would be undeniable if the Pereira loss hadn't have occurred? So let's say that the loss in MMA didn't occur. Let's say he beats Pereira the first time they fight. Do you think that question would be undeniable at this stage, that Israel is the best middleweight of all time?
I don't know. Yeah. I just, for me, just being a little bit more old school, I feel like I'm hanging on to Anderson Silva's legacy just a little bit longer. Yeah. But you know, the Pereira thing is, does it hurt? He got it back. You know, in MMA, he got it back. So that's made and will make his legacy even stronger, I think.
You I don't know if you saw a lot of the open workouts, but one thing that really surprised me was Adesanya got a few boos coming up on stage. There was quite a lot of Strickland support in the crowd. Not dominating boos, like it wasn't blowing out the roof of the arena, but definitely a little bit more than I expected. Do you think that sort of speaks to Sean's popularity, or do you think that just kind of speaks to that Israel maybe hasn't won over that entire fan base yet? Because he is a fighter that he's always had his critics, sort of as he's come up and as he's been champion.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I don't know, but I think it's also a bit of a sign of the times and how people lean into certain things and they like to catch hold of a wave of whatever it might be. Someone like Sean is very polarizing, so he's gonna have his own little clique that are gonna be loud, like he is, right? And but yeah, I mean, I personally don't like to see anyone get booed. I mean, that's just how I am. But of course, you sort of need that for a bit of to get a little atmosphere. But I've just come off that Paris event, guys. Oh my God! Yeah. So me saying I don't like the boos, but it created something so special. But I think the boos were more like we're like just so behind our fighters that anyone else is just going to get shouted down. Yeah, I don't know about the Israel side. I would just say that I think that Sean attracts a certain type of fan right now who, whether they like Israel or not, they're just gonna try and be like champion Sean a little bit.
Touching on just a few more questions. I don't want to take the whole day, but on that main event itself, I feel like the narrative around this event, or main event specifically, has been that Sean has no chance. Stylistically, Israel, can do what he wants and that sort of stuff. And Sean has the wrestling but doesn't use it. And, he said he has that ego where once you get hit in the face, you want to stand there and bang and that sort of stuff. He said that yesterday. And do you think there is a realm, 2015, just to add to this, we saw Holly Holm shock the world and defeat Ronda Rousey. Back here in Australia, do you think there is a possibility that come Sunday afternoon, Sean Strickland can find a way to get it done? Do you think there is an avenue where you see, well, if he creates this or creates that he actually can defeat Israel and walk out middleweight champion?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a very big upset, let's be honest. But John Kavanagh wrote the book Win or Learn. Like, Sean at some point has to learn, right? That's you, and you can only learn if you directly address those shortcomings. And he learned the hard way against Pereira. So would he want to experience that again? I would imagine it was a very painful experience, despite the bravado. When you take an L, it's not very nice. So his corner, and again, it's not just him, right? It's his team. We've spoken about Eric Nixick, and he has his ear. He's clearly very respectful of his coach. He has to listen. So that has got to, an MMA approach 100% has to be what he's going for. It's easier said than done. It's not like Israel hasn't been facing people that can take you down. But one false move, right? And he's very capable. Like Sean Strickland's very, very capable. So we'll see. You know, Adesanya knows he's got to be on form. Otherwise, you know, one zig, one zag, and all of a sudden things turn very, very quickly. And these guys have a lot of horsepower at middleweight, where they can, you get caught once, you're getting rattled, and it's a slippery slope.
On the card overall, touching aside from the main event, there's a lot of fun fights, I believe, and a bit of talk online that this card isn't all that, but I truly think this card has some fantastic fights. Even on the prelims, you got a guy like Kevin Jousset who's making his UFC debut. You've got guys like Jack Jenkins, and then we look at the main card. You've got Tyson Pedro, you've got Tai Tuivasa fighting for the first time in Sydney in 6 years since his debut. Now, he made his debut here in Sydney 6 years ago, and he was, not even half the guy he is now. He is just on a new level with...
He was twice the guy in the
other way around. So he is just blown up completely since that time, and to see him go out tomorrow night, if he can pick up a win against Alexander Volkov and do a shoey on the side of the cage, it'll just blow the roof off the place. What's a fight that isn't aside from the main event, that you're particularly looking forward to?
I think you've actually mentioned them. So I mentioned earlier, my teammate was on the Contender Series. It was on the same Contender Series that Jack Jenkins was on. So we spent a little bit of time hanging out with his team, his brother. And so now, like, we've got a kind of little relationship with Jack and the guys, and I really like Jack, and I've seen, you guys would have felt it, but I've seen like his social media presence has really kicked on, the amount of attention he's getting off of local media, and he's a good-looking kid, he can speak well, so, you know, I want to see all these men and women be held in the same regard as mainstream sports stars and get all those opportunities. So I feel like he's trending in that direction. So good luck to him. And he could break people's legs. Holy shit. He could actually, like, many times over. So let's see what he's got, because that was a tough fight that he had last time out in Perth. I hope that the fans get behind him there. Do you know what? I really, really, really like Tyson Pedro. I like his story. I like the martial arts aspect to it, but again, a very marketable guy. Had an absolute nightmare time in Perth. Not many people know about it. I'm not sure how much it was shared, but he had gastroenteritis going into that fight. And Modestas Bukauskas, took advantage of the opportunity. Tyson entered the octagon. And it kills me when these guys can't put their best foot forward. But he's got an opportunity now to set that right. He's got all the skills, man. He's got some really big scalps. So this is an opportunity for him to set the record straight. It told me he's been away from his family for so long, man. He's like, I've been away for a month now, and it's brutal. Like but these guys, these fighters go away for a number of months, and it's very, very hard. So they kind of deserve, their just rewards. So that's a big fight. And you said Tai Tuivasa. I mean, who doesn't love him? I think I was on the call for his debut when he flew through the air. Sometimes I get confused whether I was on a desk or... So again, to see how far he's come, but I'm a big Volkov fan. He was a world champion before he came over to the UFC. A very, very unique set of skills, particularly at heavyweight, and he knows how to use that size. But for those big, long guys, their kryptonite is someone like Tuivasa.
Well, that kind of leads into my question, John, which is, I look at the Tuivasa and the Volkov fight, and to me, it has elements that make it very similar to the Derek Lewis and Volkov fight. Elements that make it similar, not entirely the same. And when I look at the fight, I do agree it comes down to, Volkov has to use that reach and use that advanced skill set, but I think the elements that Tai have been adding into his game, over the years have made him, a more dangerous fighter. But Tai's also coming off 2 losses, Do you think that a loss here could be really damaging to his place in the heavyweight division? Because this would be a 3-fight losing streak. And whilst, Volkov is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated heavyweights in the game today, I feel like a loss to Volkov would really kind of set him back. And, you know, it could sort of put that sentiment into, you know, the generic casual fan's mind that, you know, he's a good scrapper, he's a good fighter, but he doesn't belong at the top. Do you think that Tai has a lot riding on this fight and he has a lot to lose in this if it doesn't go his way?
They all do, though, right? When you're at that sharp end in the rankings, of course, but like he's still world class. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not DEFCON 1, even if he doesn't come away with the victory. It's heavyweight MMA is just a little bit different. It is, and he has fought because he's so fun, because he's so deadly. He has fought the toughest fights early in his career by comparison. If you were to put Tai Tuivasa in the lightweight welterweight, like he wouldn't have had the bright lights and the stages that he's had, and that allows and I credit him to being able to get out there and put on a show. When you're on the top end of these big cards, you know, you're on the poster. Not many guys with very big skill sets in those very deep divisions get those opportunities, but what that allows them to build, it allows them to get comfortable in the situation. Some of these heavyweights are thrust right in there, and then it's big risk, big reward every time. It's like a big old pendulum. So, you know, he's in that position, but I don't think he should be worrying too much about those. But yeah, your stock goes down, your stock goes up, and us MMA fans, you know, we love you, and then there's some hot shit like tomorrow. But heavyweight this is the best the heavyweight division's been for a while. So just to all right, not contradict myself, but we got some really good rising contenders that are very willing to take that spot. So yeah, both for him and Volkov, they're trying to stop these guys from coming up.
Well, that leads into my, you know, at least the last question for me today, which is, you know, I saw a photo the other day, and it was the, you know, what they called the gold class of the heavyweight division, when you had Junior Dos Santos, Frank Mir, Fabricio Werdum, Cain Velasquez. And, you know, obviously since then, you know, a few of those fighters have, you know, hung around quite late, and the division for a little bit was not stale, but maybe a little bit stagnant. And then, as you say, we've got these, you know, these new heavyweight contenders coming in, you know, in your Tom Aspinalls, you know, Tai Tuivasa as well is now really a mainstay of that division. Do you think we're sort of right on the cusp of having the next golden age of heavyweight in the UFC?
No, I think we're in it. I really do. Of course, we've had there's a little uncertainty of the future at the very, very top. But, I mean, when was the last time we had 5 proper contenders? I was going to say, like, and we haven't really seen him tested at the very, very highest level. I'm not saying he hasn't got it, by the way, but he's the guy that a lot of people don't talk about, and he's got a very specialist set of skills. But that, you know, when you've got like the two Sergeys, Tom Aspinall, Cyril just looked so damn good last week. So it's and the same can be said for Tom. You know, they're fighting a little different. And when guys like Spivak manage to, he's young enough. Like, he's only going to get better, and he's going to learn off of that experience as well. He's going to come back again. You know, so we got some really exciting times ahead of us in the heavyweight division.
Last one, John. Being English yourself, I've got to ask, Leon and Colby, that's something I'm particularly looking forward to. I know nothing's been announced yet. Do you think, I would have imagined that it would have been announced by now, but do you think that is a fight we still see in 2023 at the back end, or do you think that's something that maybe gets pushed forward to the start of next year?
I'd like to think it happens this year, because as much as Leon's probably enjoying doing the rounds as a champion, like he wants to double down on that. He wants to get his first defence in, and if it's not coming, like, who is it and what are we waiting for? So yeah, I think he'll come out before the end of the year. 2 very intelligent fighters as well. That'd be a strategic one, a bit like what we saw with Usman and Colby, right? I think it's going to go a similar way. I think we're going to get a lot of action. And I'm hopefully going to go and, well, I believe I will be seeing Leon at the end of the month, so I'll see where he's at. And I'm excited to see that one go down.
John, you're a consummate professional, man.
I appreciate it.
We thank you so much for your time. Like, you know, like Alex and I said, you know, when we talked to you at the start of the year, it was really cool to even do this in person. It's even better. So enjoy your time in Australia, man. I hope you like it. Enjoy your coffees.
Amazing.
And you hope the jet lag gets over you. And appreciate your time, brother. Thank you very much, John.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Cheers.
John.